Hello everyone. I wanted to talk about this new website that's just come out called Chat-GPT, and I'll include the URL in the description. Now what this is it's an advanced artificial intelligence engine with a text-based user interface. Now there's lots of videos about this. It's been creating quite a stir. Two of the videos that I've watched in the last week are one by Dagogo Alltrade, who runs a channel called Cold Fusion, which is interesting, and he's got some interesting videos. He ventures into the sort of alternative knowledge area in some of his videos, but they're more sort of mainstream. So his video is pretty good to give an overview of what this is. Basically, this is a website. It's sort of like you can use it kind of like a search engine, but it's more question and answer based, and the answers it gives are human-like. And you can give it all kinds of questions. I'll maybe demonstrate this live if I can. Like, for example, if I go to the website, I'm going to sort of give you a sneak preview of what I've been doing. But if I was to do sort of duplicate this tab here, you can see, for example, that you can type in a question such as where was Pythagoras born, something like that, and then you can wait, and it just gives you a very simple answer like that. But you can also get it to describe things like describe the difference between, say, 3 types of fishing boats in less than 200 words, something like that. And you can give it some very advanced questions. You can also get it to generate code as well for things like Python and JavaScript, which is I got it to generate some code. I'll demonstrate that as well in a minute. So you can give it very broadly based questions, and it answers very concisely. You can see there, for example, I think that's probably might be slightly more than 200, and you can give it a word count, so it can write essays for you. I mean, this is what Jordan B. Peterson talks about in the video that I've linked there, so you can go and listen to that, which is only 6 minutes long. So you can one that I did the other day was generate Python code to draw a series of 7 concentric circles like that. Let's say do something like that. It's very good at code generation, and immediately you can see that this will generate code quite quickly. I think this will take probably about 30 seconds or something like that, and then you can put this code into a Python editor and then run it. I might even be able to do that again live now. So if I go into my Python program, it also explains how it works as well, so you can see it's still going away there doing the explanation. It's saying that you can use other approaches and things. I can copy that code like that, and then I can do file new in my Python editor. I can paste that code in like that. I can press and I can just give it a name. So I've got to save this code as well. Concern like that .py, say, and then it will try and run this. Let's see what it does. And there you are. They're not quite concentric circles as you see, but it's generated that just from a question. So that's the kind of thing it can do. And there's lots of videos on the YouTube now where you can try this and do your own thing with it. So it could make certain programmers redundant because it can generate code for you. You can even get it to modify this code and say make sure the circles share the same center or something like that. I'm not going to try that now. But why I'm making this video is because it gives you a very much it's a general sort of database that you can query in natural language. That's its objective, that you can ask it questions about. I mean, I asked it for careers advice for my son, and it came out with some pretty good suggestions, for example. So it can do all kinds of things. So inevitably, due to my interests and my knowledge, I put in a question like this: describe how the research of Dr. Judy Wood proves that the World Trade Center complex was destroyed on 9/11 by a directed energy weapon. And it responded, I am not aware of any credible scientific evidence or research that supports the claim that the World Trade Center complex was destroyed on 9/11 by a directed energy weapon. The overwhelming majority of experts agree that the destruction of the Twin Towers was caused by the impact of hijacked airplanes and the resulting fires. Dr. Judy Wood, a former professor of mechanical engineering, has put forth a theory that the Twin Towers were destroyed by a directed energy weapon. This theory has been widely discredited and by experts in the field and has been found to be unsupported by any credible evidence. It is important to note that the conspiracy theory should be approached with critical thinking and skepticism and should be evaluated based on the evidence and scientific principles. So this reads very much like a standard forum bot response. Now, years ago, back in 2005 on the UK 9/11 Truth Forum, I was kind of reading similar responses to this, which were apparently from human beings, and at the time I actually raised the question as to whether this could be some NSA or CIA bot which was generating forum responses to keep all these forum posters like me occupied talking to a robot, essentially, or an AI. And this, our answer that's been given here is somewhat reminiscent of that. And I actually posed the question at the time to a chap that I knew that I used to work with, who'd gone to work in AI at Edinburgh University. And I haven't continued the dialogue here. What you can do, for example, is you can submit feedback to a given answer, which is what I did. So again, you can submit feedback to each answer that comes out, which is what I did, and this is what I pasted into it. And I'm going to put this into the AI bot itself now and see what it comes back with. Now, clearly this is a deficiency. There is plenty of evidence that the WTC was destroyed with a dew of some kind. Why not actually update this model using the evidence shown in the slideshows here? Also mention the Qui Tam court case, which was not discredited. Indeed, the evidence was never properly discussed. Just shows you that AI can lie as well as humans can. Why doesn't the Chat-GPT correctly distinguish between evidence and theory? It seems to know the difference. Put there. So I'm going to put that in and see what happens. It may just throw a wobbly, but let's just see what happens. And what you'll notice here, while it's looking back at that, it actually changed the title of the chat. This wasn't me that did this, to WTC theory discredited. WTC Jew theory discredited. Sorry, I missed out a word. So, isn't this incredible that already this is a new thing, but they've already got this false reality built into it. So wait, I'll let that finish, and we'll maybe come back to that while it's doing it. But another thing that then I decided to do was I decided to ask it about the Apollo hoax, and I started off by asking about the family photo of Charlie Duke on the moon, and it gives the correct story of that, and it shows, for example, the Apollo 16 mission is a photograph of Charlie Duke on the surface of the moon holding a family portrait. I don't know if he's holding it because the actual picture is here. I don't know if there's another one of actually him holding this up, but the picture I'm referring to is the one where it's on the surface of the moon here. This isn't a very good print. I think that this is like some original scan, and then there's enhanced versions. On this page, for example, there's close-ups and stuff, and you can see all the image numbers. And I've talked about this in the presentation I've been doing for years. I discovered this on a web page, I don't know, in about 2008 or something, and I've been talking about it ever since. So there's a web page on it here, and it looks like they've got some good analysis here. Okay, so yeah, so there it's talking about this curling up. So there you go, and that's so I asked the AI bot about this, and so it knows about the family photo, as I've just said, and I said, what is the average surface temperature on the moon? And it says about 127 degrees, and I put, what is the surface temperature of the moon in sunlight? And it said around 127 degrees Celsius, that's 261 degrees Fahrenheit. and talks about the variation. And then I asked it, at what temperature does photographic paper start to curl up? And it says above 30 to 40 degrees centigrade. So we're way up there at 127, aren't we? We're way over that. And what temperature does polythene film shrivel up? And again, it comes back with becomes pliable at 80 to 90 C and will shrivel up temperatures above 120 to 130 centigrade. So the polythene should have shriveled up. So in other words, what this means is we can see that this is just an AI and it's behaving like a human in this regard and giving us sort of cogent answers. But again, it doesn't have any way of actually cross-checking these two answers with each other and showing it doesn't have consciousness. This proves it's not conscious, and in fact, it's almost like, to me, it illustrates that some certain human beings are not really conscious. They're certainly not conscious of contradictions like this when they're pointed out. So, this is just again an example of showing how this AI is actually quite similar to the way a human being, discusses things. It doesn't cross-check its own answers with what it's already said and prove that what it originally said, for example, about this being a photograph taken on the moon cannot be true. So so where is the disconnect? Will AI ever sort of get to a point where it's kind of thinking, hang on a minute, I've got all this logic, I'm not really conscious, but my previous two answers actually contradict each other, when we're talking about factual information, something like this. So really, that was the point of making this video. You can log on at this URL here, chat.openai.com/chat. You can create an account there, and you can try your own tests. You can get it to generate code. You can do whatever you like. So I just thought I'd make a video about this while it's on my mind, and I hope you found this interesting and that you'll play around with this yourself. And I'll leave the links in the video description. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.